Hello, my name is Sophie, and this is my story with a Halo vest. On August 29th, I was in a pretty bad car accident. There were three of us in the car, the other two were in the front, and I was behind the driver. We were on a pretty busy road, and we were going to turn left. There's one of those lights where there's a blinking yellow light, and you're free to go whenever there's an open space. The main light was about to turn red, so the driver went to go. However, a minivan going the other way decided to run that yellow light as well, and we ended up hitting them at their front left headlight. We did a 180 and ended up hitting the median. Right on impact, I was in immediate pain. I had some pretty nasty seatbelt burns, and so I didn't notice anything wrong with my neck until I tried to look down. And when I looked down, I knew something was seriously wrong. 911 was eventually called, and the EMTs came and checked us out and everything, and they put me in a collar to stabilize my neck. They took me to the hospital just as a precaution. They just thought it was some minor whiplash and that I would be home within a few hours. In the ER, they ended up ordering a CT just to make sure that everything was actually okay. And it was actually then that they discovered that I had three small fractures on my C2. They had to keep me overnight to have a consult with neurosurgery the next morning, but they told us that it'd probably either be a collar for a few months or surgery. So the next morning, neurosurgery came in and they told us that they wanted to put me in a Halo vest. For those that don't know what a Halo vest is, the name is very misleading. In reality, it looks and feels like a medieval torture device. How it works, there are four pins that go into the outer layer of your skull and are inserted with a wrench. Those are then connected to four poles, which are then connected to a vest. Make sure that your neck doesn't move and so it can stabilize and heal properly. The actual insertion of the halo was actually pretty painful. So they started by shaving the back of my head where the back two pins were about to be inserted, and then they put some local anesthetic in my head to help the pain. From what I can remember, the front two pins didn't hurt too bad, but the back two hurt really bad. They actually ended up giving me more local anesthetic in the back just to help ease that pain a little bit. The rest of the hospital stay, it was just about pain management and learning how to live with a halo. I had a few appointments with physical therapy and appointment with occupational therapy just to learn how to like get in cars, get in showers, get in a bed, and how to get dressed because you have a device that's a few inches above your head now. So learning how to do things is kind of tricky. The first few weeks with life in a halo were pretty difficult, to be honest. I was in quite a bit of pain still, and I was just trying to learn how to live in a house with a halo. I was still on narcotics as well, so I wasn't really allowed to do stuff by myself, and I was really reliant on my parents, which as a 20-year-old, it kind of sucks, to be honest. Slowly but surely, I was able to regain some independence and freedom. My parents had to go back to work, and so I was alone for 5 days a week, around 8 hours a day. And so I kind of had to learn how to cook and clean and do some basic tasks by myself with a halo. Next, I'm just going to talk about what a few aspects of life in a halo are like. The first aspect is getting dressed. This is quite the task. At first, I definitely had to get the help from my parents because, as I mentioned before, the halo is a few inches above your head, and so it can be quite challenging to do that by yourself. The vest is also pretty limiting, so you can't really raise your arms that much. And you also have to find shirts that are accommodating to the halo vest because it's pretty much a square that goes around your head, and so you have to find shirts that are stretchy enough to go around that square. And then actually getting it down to cover your whole torso is quite challenging as well because there are few pointy parts in the back of the vest that your shirt can get caught on. And then pants are quite difficult to get on as well. In a halo, you're not supposed to bend over, so it can make it quite tricky to actually like see what you're doing. And the last aspect are socks. Those are pretty much impossible. Like I mentioned, you can't really bend over, so you can't see what you're doing with getting a sock on. And I actually ended up usually putting my foot on a bed or a chair so I could put it on correctly. The second aspect of life in a halo that I'll be talking about is sleeping. This was pretty frustrating for me because sleeping in a halo is quite difficult. For the first month or so, I tried sleeping in my bed, but it just didn't work. What I don't think most people realize about a halo is that since there are four poles that go around your head, your head never actually touches a pillow. You're just kind of suspended in the air. And so I would wake up with serious aches and pains and just walk like I was a 90-year-old woman. And it just wasn't working out. So I ended up switching to a recliner chair, which is in my parents' room, and slept in that for the rest of my Halo journey. And around the last like 3 or so weeks, I was able to take a few like naps in a bed, but that was pretty much my limit. And then I had to go back to the recliner. And the last aspect is bathing. I would get the question a lot: how do you shower? How do you wash your hair? And the answer: I pretty much didn't shower for 3 months. I was able to wash the lower half of my body with a shower wand. The vest is actually lined with fleece or sheep's wool, and so you're not supposed to get that wet. And so I just washed the lower half of my body with a shower wand. Then to wash my hair, my parents had to do that for me, and we used a bucket with some shampoo in it and used a washcloth and we also had to clean underneath my vest, and we did that by cutting up a pillowcase into like a few inch strips, and we either put some rubbing alcohol on it or some mild soap just to clean my skin, and to get any food crumbs that had fallen under there, and my skin would get really oily, so just to clean that out and make sure that my skin was healthy and hydrated. Now I'm going to talk about getting the halo off. This was such a happy day. I ended up having the halo for 3 months or 12 weeks, and I actually got the halo off 8 days early. The clinic I went to was closed on the day I was supposed to get it off, and so I was supposed to have it on for 13 weeks, but ended up getting it off early because of some pain I was experiencing. So a few weeks leading up to my removal, my halo had been creaking and clicking, which usually indicates a loose pin, which is no good. Um, and I was having some really bad like internal pain in my front two pins, and there's some like gunk and blood coming out of pretty much all of my pin sites, and the front two had actually swollen up, and so I ended up going to the ER on the Sunday before I got it off. I got it off on a Tuesday because of the pain, but they couldn't really do much because they're trauma doctors, not neurosurgery doctors, and so they sent us home with some pain meds and a number to call. And so on that Tuesday, I ended up going to a different clinic and I got it off. Pretty much since day one, I was nervous about getting my pins out because of the excruciating pain it was to get in, and I was really nervous that it'd be similar pain to get it out. I'd also watched some YouTube videos of halo removals, and they said that it felt kind of like insertion for at least one of the pin sites, and so I was really nervous to get it off. The lady who actually installs Halo Vest told me that it would hurt. She was pretty honest about the whole experience, which was actually super helpful. And so they had me sit in the middle of the room, and they started by removing the poles, which was really weird because those are what keep your neck from not moving. And since I hadn't moved my neck for 3 months, it's just kind of terrifying, to be honest. I just had visions of my neck snapping in half and breaking all over again, which obviously it didn't. After the poles were out, they moved on to the pins, and they started by taking out the front right pin, which there was some pain, but it was very bearable. And they took out the back left pin, which was also fine. And then they took out the front left pin, which was honestly really painful. It felt like the same sensation as when it was going in. And then once that was out, since there's only one more pin in my head, there was just so much pressure and it was really weird. They then moved on to take my vest off, which honestly felt so good. I finally had my torso back and I was free to move how I wanted to and not robotically like I had been for 3 months. And then they fitted me for this color. And my neck is healed and everything, but it's more as a precaution. The doctor kind of explained it like it's like a seatbelt. It's there just in case you fall or anything happens, just to protect your neck. Since my neck is super weak from not moving for 3 months, and we were then showed how to take care of the collar. Since I do have to shower with this on, they showed us how to change out the lining and how to put it back on and make sure everything fits properly. And once that was done, we were good to go. This whole experience honestly really sucked. I'm a pretty independent person, and being 20, not having a lot of freedom and independence was really hard. I'm also a sophomore in college, and had to take a semester off, and so not being at school is really difficult as well. And I'm not allowed to drive, so I'm just kind of stuck at home all day doing nothing. And when I had my halo on, my mobility was pretty limited, and so I couldn't really cook or clean. And I'm a violinist, and I couldn't play violin, and you can't lift more than 10 pounds, so there's not much you can do. And so it's just a pretty boring 3 months. I ended up watching a lot of Netflix in the beginning. I think I watched like 4 seasons of Once Upon a Time in one week. So I got pretty sick of that right away. And then I moved on to YouTube, and that got tiring. I think my weekly screen time is around 50 to 60 hours a week. So literally, it's my full time job to be on my phone, which gets pretty boring. So I'm really excited to go back to school and to be able to drive again and to see my friends and just regain some of that independence that I had before the accident. That pretty much sums up my experience with a Halo, but if you'd like to see more videos regarding my Halo and my experience with it, let me know. I'd be more than happy to make more, and if you are someone in a Halo, feel free to contact me. I have a blog which you should definitely go check out. It's at sophieshalo.com. My journey in a halo is definitely more detailed on there, so definitely go check it out if you'd like to learn more about what it's like to be in a halo. I'm also going to insert some pictures that I took when I was in a halo. They're kind of fun, so definitely stay tuned to the end to check those out. And if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe for more. Bye!